Sales and marketing veteran Marie Hale found herself on the edge of a nervous breakdown during the initial stages of quarantine, as she was no longer just a CEO and a widowed, singled mom. She was also a third-grade teacher, a butler, and assuming titles that she never thought she would ever have. And Hale knew that she wasn't the only one. Once she realized the full impact of the Feminine Recession, she funneled her energy and rage into creating a new business model which would allow women to reclaim their careers, life, and independence. She's building a work-life revolution which is gaining national attention. And as she continues to build her female revolutionist, one woman at a time, she's determined to give women their life and power back and see them surge in a position of leadership in all aspects of their life. Hale joined me this week to have a conversation about women's equality in the workplace, independence, and empowerment. I'm Kevin McShad. Let's have this conversation. Hale has worked extensively and tirelessly hard to ensure that women have been seen, heard, and valued in the workforce. We began our conversation by Hale explaining how to ensure that women remain visible and prominent at work.
Oh, I would love to tell you about that. So I want to start with why it's so critical right now. A lot of people are surprised to hear the actual stats of what women are experiencing because of the feminine recession. For every 6 months that a woman is out of work, she's going to lose 5 years of seniority. We lost 40 years of pay equality during the pandemic, and more than 2.4 million women were pushed out of their careers. And it's not just women. It's diverse people, it's disabled people. It was even people that were simply overweight that lost their jobs in incredible numbers. And so what my mission became, as I was busy being a CEO and a single mom and the world's worst third grade teacher, I was not born for that, and butler and everything else that comes with it, was that we forgot that we had choices. When the pandemic hit, we had to follow along, right? And so we created Fwd Revolution, and that's Fwd Revolution.com. Fwd Revolution is here as a nonprofit to care for people mentally, socially, and emotionally first. If we think that folks are going to be coming into the next phase of reality without some battle wounds, we're just not looking at what life really is. When you've done what you were told to do for 20 years and then told you were disposable, you're going to have some feelings about that. So we help to match them with not only financial education and mental and emotional education, but resources for their families, and really all of the tools that they need to custom craft the kind of lives that they want to live. Because if we just burnt everything to the ground. Why would we go back to a broken patriarchal society that wasn't really working for anybody in the first place? So we've added scholarships for certification because certification increases diversity, and we give them opportunities for fractional work. We work with some really incredible freelance recruitment companies as well as our own company. And we really give people money and choices because that equals power. And people just deserve to have power. No empowerment needed. Just take it.
Hale says that creating an environment where individuals with disabilities can succeed at work starts by changing our perception and opinion on abilities.
Just last weekend, I was hanging out with Miss Wheelchair USA 2022, and Christine is an incredible young lady. She brought to my attention that in most DEI conversations, disability is not included. It's ethnicity, it's orientation, but disability kind of hit the back burner at some point, right? So we need to bring disability back into the DEI conversation in a major way. And it's funny because being disabled is the only diversity group that you can find yourself in, and you don't have to be born into. So when you look at creating a flexible work style, you give people the ability to care for themselves first. And that's what we've got to do. That's the switch. We've got to become human centric. So what is it that you need to take care of yourself and the things that may come at you? What is it that is going to make you feel like you've got the choices you need and the resources to make those choices? And when we can put those things together in a healthy experience where people feel supported, and we call it professional love, but it's just loved, then you've got something that can change the world.
Hale offers these nuggets of insight when it comes to reversing the trend of the feminine recession.
The reverse of that trend is going to be a lot of women starting their own businesses so that they can craft their lives. I think there's going to be a lot of women that are going to go back into work environments where, and I'm going to diverge for a moment because I think it's critical. One of the things that we kind of missed in our generation is we had all of these women that fought for equal rights and equal pay. But when we go into the boardroom and don't demand what we're worth, we're almost reversing all of the work that they did. Because if we don't continue to demand what we know is right and stand up for one another, whether it's a fellow female or a fellow diverse person, it's our job to stand up for them. And when you see that someone else is having to accept less, your job in carrying forward the revolution, the feminine revolution, is to step in and say, you know, that's not right. Or you just interrupted her. She wasn't done speaking. And we need that from our allies. We need that from our sisters. And we need to do it for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also talk about the importance of building a community of support for caretakers. So I'm wondering your thoughts there on how we can build bridges of inclusion, acceptance, and understanding when it comes to women and caretakers and succeeding moving forward.
Kevin, man, I wish there were simple answers to these incredible questions that you're asking me because they're so good. When we're looking at the caretakers, which let's face it, we've all got parents that are aging. Some of us have made humans. Some of us may be regretting that after spending so much time with them during the pandemic. But life happens. Right now, I'm trying to get my daughter into an orthopedic surgeon because she went to a trampoline party and broke her heel. When a woman has to step out of her daily routine to take care of that child, she's seen as not dependable. When a man does it, oh, what a great dad. We've got to change that narrative and see caretakers as the heroes of every story, providing them that flexible workspace and providing them with the ability to do their work when it suits them is going to be a major shift. Imagine if you got paid for the quality of your work and the brilliance of your mind, as opposed to the hours that your butt was in a seat. How much different would the world be?
Makes a huge difference, for sure. In the final of few minutes I have with you this morning, Marie, I'm curious to ask you about resilience and your own personal legacy, because I know that the quarantine was a big experience for you, as you had mentioned earlier. But when you talk about resilience in women in the workplace, what do you think of? And when you think of your own individual, personal, and professional legacy, what comes to mind?
So I will say that nobody gets their resilience for free. 7 months after I started my company with the love of my life, he passed away suddenly. And a year later, my best friend, who was running my office and living with me and helping me care for my daughter, passed away. So we lost our entire chosen family, which was all part of the business, within about 16 months. And sometimes resilience isn't a big battle cry. Sometimes it's learning to cry with grace. But while I am never going to tell people that grief of any kind is more important or less important or more hurtful or less hurtful, or that your resilience isn't as important as somebody else's, you've got to look at the things that you've walked through and give yourself emotional credit for still showing up and being able to love and progress. And a big part of resilience is understanding that you're not supposed to do this alone. Those that are out there trying to be the bastion in the storm, you're missing a big, beautiful part of life, which is the people that you've created authentic relationships with, that are there to care for you and who want to be there for you. When it comes to being resilient, most of that emotional intelligence is simply knowing that you can continue to get up and walk, that you can take the time to take care of yourself, and that there are people out there that you will build deeper relationships with by allowing them to help you. And that builds a community and a legacy.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for sharing that part of your incredible story and for joining me this morning. And finally, I I'm curious if people want to join your movement. What's the best way they can get involved?
Oh, Kevin, what a great question. I love that one. So definitely follow us on social. You'll find us at Fwd Revolution on almost every platform, as well as our website. But we need revolutionaries. If you are interested in changing the way that your life works and creating a life-work balance as opposed to a work-life balance, visit the website. There's a place that says opportunities right in the top. Click there and find a spot for yourself, and we'll follow up. We also need sponsors and donors. When we give scholarships for certifications, that allows us to keep our revolutionaries at the top of their industry and provide additional work opportunities and opportunities for advancement. And that's critical for us. And we need companies that are going to stand up and say, we are going to maintain the diversity that we kept talking about before all of this stuff actually happened. When you're looking for resources for sales or marketing, look at Fwd Revolution. We have a cadre of badass diverse people that are ready to work, that can help not only make sure that you're navigating cash fluctuations, but can bring the kind of ideas that, unfortunately, a group of old white guys at a boardroom table probably aren't going to bring. And so we create this ecosystem of win, 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 win. Incredible people to work with and great structures, companies that have values that they're willing to stand up for, and organizations that are there to help lift up this new generation of people that have had the blindfold taken off and are looking to dedicate their talents and their highest expertise to the projects that are at hand. So please follow us, and we are looking for some loudmouth broads to help us shout from the mountaintops that this is not okay and that we are no longer willing to settle for the status quo. And we are always looking for great stages.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Marie, I really want to thank you for the incredible work that you do to advance forward inclusion, equity, and equality for women in the workplace. Your time on my behalf and work in the space is most appreciated. And I want to thank you for engaging in conversation with me this morning.
Kevin, I think you've been my favorite interview all year long.